Hello, friends. In this video, I've decided to um, talk about the retreat itself. There was, um, I guess, two different parts to the retreat. There was a retreat, um, and then I think that lasted 3 days, and then after that, there was a Reiki portion for Reiki attunement, and that will be a different video. That one will come out probably tomorrow. So for this video, I'll just talk about the retreat and my experiences from the retreat. So I shortened the length of this series. I originally thought I was going to do day by day, but for the sake of time and your boredom, I'll condense it and do my best to um, still keep it concise and have it be a good journey. Um, and then on the last video, I think I'll share overall um, some of the things that happened outside of the retreat or the event, and just some of the aha moments or awakenings and stuff like that. So, for this video, the retreat itself started. Um, sheesh, I can't even think. The first day, I'll just say the first day. I don't even remember what day it was. The first day, it was started at like uh, it was a basically a meet and greet with an opening ceremony. So I think the doors open basically at like 6 o'clock, I think 5 or 6, and then everything started around 7 or 8. And just it was just a process for me, a huge process for me just to walk in the building. Like I said in the first video, I have choose your language properly. S- Sometimes I get overwhelmed. Um, Being in a new space around a lot of people, have I spoke also about my weight. I'm a large person, um, very heavy, and with that, it makes me feel a little insecure, self-conscious, um, and so just as I got to the retreat, I was already having like anxiety, going through self-doubt, and I was really beating myself up. Looking back at it, self-worth issues, like I shouldn't even be there, I don't deserve to be there. I was gifted this opportunity, and the gift should have been given to somebody else more deserving than myself. And I was working through a lot of issues, and it created for a very intense anxiety. I wouldn't say it was a panic attack, because um it wasn't to that degree, but I was struggling. I was struggling to walk into the door. I walked in, and I was immediately greeted by Sonia and Tony, who run the center, and I couldn't even like have a coherent conversation with them. I opened the door and I'm like, I'm here to meet a group. And they were just looking at me like, okay, that's good. Um, and so eventually I walked in, and then that's when I was muted by Lisa, Intuitive, and Evan, who's one of the greeters, also part of the retreat. Beautiful, beautiful person, beautiful man, beautiful energy, so warm and so inviting. And Lisa's energy, oh my gosh, she has this presence about her that's like it goes past her body. She's an incredible soul. She just exudes this like strength and softness at the same time. to meet her in person, is pretty amazing. You see her on YouTube, when she does her lives and stuff like that, and she is that person in real life, but when you get to feel her energy, in real life, there's a lot to her. She's very powerful. Um, like I said, her energy goes way past her body, and she's strong and soft at the same time. Like, I guess you pull from it what you need, or take from or feel it, like whatever it is you need. If you need strength, you'll feel that from her. If you need softness and compassion, you'll feel that from her. And um, I think those two people were the catalysts of me starting the process of relaxing and calming myself. In the first video, I spoke about always wanting to hide in the shadows, and they were like, the ones that started pulling me into the light. And they really helped me get to the start of this retreat. And then as people started filtering in, there's like a little shop area and a seating area where everybody was like hanging out in, um, introducing themselves, meeting each other. Um, it was very nice, and it's a little tight if you got a large group, but um, it can work. There's crystals everywhere. It's a beautiful shop. They'll have like all kinds of stuff, like sage and tarot cards, and it's just like something for everybody if you want to take home a little souvenir or something. Um, but around 7 o'clock, the thing started, and then so Kevin and Debbie and Jeffrey said a little something, to the group. Um, and then Ukwala, the medicine man, spoke, and that was uh, pretty intense. Like we were in this room, in this large open room, sitting in like a U shape, I think it was, and when he spoke, the hair on my arm stood up. It was that he is very I don't want to say intense, but there's something to him, like an energy that I don't want to say, like it's just real. He wasn't an employee doing a job. He was really that guy that he said he is. And he's a really nice guy. Um After he did the little, or his, part of his opening ceremony and opening blessing to us, they took us outside to a fire pit area just outside of the main building, and we all sat down, some on the floor, some in chairs, on the grass around the fire pit, and then he spoke to us also out there, talking about history, about insights and stuff like that. And it was a nice conversation. And then he ended up gifting us um, a cloth, a sacred cloth that was blessed. And yeah, he taught us some of his native ways on how to like enter and exit a sacred space where, you hold your hands up, and then you uh, turn around clockwise to go in, and then counterclockwise to go out. It was a very nice experience from a very nice man. Um, and pretty much that was the end of the first day. It was just basically the opening ceremony and a meet and greet. And it was a nice experience because um, I got to work through issues. Um, I got to be a part of it and feel a part of it. Um, and so, yeah, that was the first day. And then the second day started in the morning. And I got to the retreat, and it was very interesting because, um, Ukwala the medicine man, very powerful man, and I wanted to I was sitting outside in in my chair that I sat at the whole week, just overlooking the parking lot, and I wanted to give him space because it just seemed like be respectful of his time and let him be, and I'm not who am I to stop him and just strike up conversation. Um, Again, working through like some self worth issues and stuff like that, or opportunities. And it was interesting because he came up to me while I was sitting there and he just started talking to me. And he's like, "Oh, hi, Richie." I was shocked that he even remembered who I was. And he started talking to me and telling me things. And it didn't seem significant what he was saying until he told me this story. Because he looked at so at the facility, at the living center, you can't wear shoes inside the building. So there's these places inside the entryway where you could leave your shoes. And so everybody takes their shoes off, and so you're either barefoot or you're in socks. I think most of us had socks on. And so I was outside and I was in my socks. And so he looked down at my feet and he said, "Oh, you're just like me. You'll walk barefoot anywhere." And then so he told me this story about how he went to a retreat one time, and it was the same process. You enter the building, you take your shoes off. So he was in his socks, and he was telling me that um, at this retreat, you go up to the host or the presenter, and it was some it was a spiritual person. So he said, out of respect, you bow to that person. So he said that he went down on his knees and he bowed his head to to the person hosting the retreat. And he said when he did that, his feet came off the ground and it showed the bottom of his feet. And then he could hear like people chuckling um, behind him, and it was because he had holes in his socks. And he said, when he heard the chuckling, he said, "Oh, it's because of the holes in my socks." And then he said, "Oh well, now they see all of me, and we can move forward." And at first, when he told me that story, I just dismissed it as just a regular conversation. And for some reason, I felt like this was poignant, and I actually wrote it down, in my book while I was after he had left. And that conversation that he had was, I think, the catalyst for the rest of the retreat for me. Um, it wasn't just a regular story. It was almost like a reminder, like, hey, if you open up, you have the ability to move forward. If you allow everybody to see you, then you can have this amazing experience moving forward. Um, and so, with that thought, um, yeah, I just let go, and I didn't have anxiety for the rest of the retreat. I was a little bit self-conscious, but it wasn't anything to where I had like anxiety or I was nervous or anything like that. It was just you're here, be in the moment and open up. Like allow vulnerability to be your strength. And so I took that uh moving forward. I just decided in that moment that that was going to be the way it was going to be, to allow vulnerability to uh, to push me forward and be my power. And so the first event that we did, I should say, they broke us up into groups. So there was, I think, 50 people at the retreat, and every person had a color, a colored like name card that was on like a lanyard. And so my my group or my team was Team Fire. And so, um, whichever group you were in, that meant that you would go to a certain event, and that team uh, stayed together the entire event. So, in my team, I'll just say the people that are on YouTube out of respect for the people that are not, and maybe their privacy. But Terry at Holding Your Space was in my group, and Alice. Um, Alice Leong was also in my group. And then, we had a bunch of other people. And so our first class was, or yeah, our first event was with Kevin and Kevin Lewis. And he set up this room that was so amazing. It was just the energy in it was beautiful. It was kind of dark, and um, there was candles in the middle, and um, he presented a very beautiful space for us to sit in. So we sat in like a circle, and he spoke about the clairs, and he had us do a guided meditation to pull in our spirit animals. And it was very interesting because when I did it, I had a new animal come in, and it was the elephant. And the elephant sat with me and put his trunk around me, and then we touched foreheads. And what was interesting was in that touching of foreheads, it seemed like it was um, a transfer of information, as well as like part of a greeting or like a ritual. And then after that was done, then we just sat together. The elephant and I sat together. Um, then the elephant gets up and he says, "I have given you what I need to, and it's time for me to leave so so another can come in." And as soon as he said that, or as soon as the elephant said that, the elephant left, and then the hawk flew in and landed next to me, spread its wings, and then the message was, "It's time for you to do the same." And then as soon as that message came, then like the meditation was over. I don't even remember what happened, but it was just done. And so that experience was done. And I thought, wow, that was pretty interesting because I've never seen an elephant in my meditations or as a spirit animal. And so Kevin asked us, like, okay, did anybody receive a new animal? And I was like, oh, I did. I got an elephant. And that elephant came up several times throughout the retreat, which is very interesting. Just to speak, there are so many. I don't know if that's called a synchronicity, but there are so many instances like that where different moments connected in the future, um, and there's no reason why it should happen, but it did happen that way. Um, so the next exercise that we did with Kevin was he I forgot how he put it, but he said he pointed to two corners in the room, and he split the room in half. So like one side would be one group, and then the other side would be another group. And so he said there's two energies in opposite corners. So, and he pointed to one corner. He said there's an energy in there, and I want you to use your clairs to tell me about the energy in that corner. And so my group went to one corner, and the other group went to the other corner. And so for corner one, it was very interesting that I felt like this soft male energy. And when I tapped into it, it felt like an older energy. And so I actually thought that at first I thought that it was like his grandfather or an uncle because I didn't hear all of the instructions. So I thought the energy in that corner pertained to him, to Kevin, uh, but it didn't. It was just an energy. And so I thought, like, oh, like I said, I thought that it would be like a grandfather or an uncle because it felt like an older energy, but it was very soft. And then so before I left the corner, I saw Jesus's face. And so I thought that was interesting. And so when we came back, you know, we were like, "Oh, so Kevin was asking us what we saw and what we felt and everything." And then at the end, he said the the person in that corner was Nelson Mandela. And I was like, "Oh, wow, I got it wrong because I saw Jesus." Interesting part though is the next day the person in that corner was Jesus. And so I thought it was very interesting that, I saw what I saw and it was very clear that it was Jesus's face and I felt the energy. But what I found interesting was that I picked up on something that was happening in the future and not in the moment. And so, um, like just learning how to find the different or to understand like in the moment what you're feeling and like is if I guess to learn how to figure out what's right because I don't think any of us that felt anything, nobody in our group got Nelson Mandela. They got different things, but to understand why you got what you got, is something that's pretty interesting and that I like to like look more into because it's not to say that if you did not guess who it was or say who it was that you're wrong because I think like what I took from that experience is your gifts are your gifts, and we just have to understand how it works, right? Like why this information is coming into or through us, to us or through us. But anyway, then the next corner, or in the other, we switch sides after that, and in this corner, I felt very strongly a presence of a woman, a very strong and powerful woman. And I felt a lot of love, but right away, I didn't get to the corner because everybody went. A lot of people were in that corner, and right away, I felt, don't come. I felt like, stay away, don't come to my corner. And so I didn't. I went back to my chair, I sat down, and I just tried to tap into that corner from from my chair instead of being in the corner. But I could feel right away it was a presence of a woman who was very strong and powerful, but very loving. And then I just saw a blanket of red, and I heard Rosie and roses, and that's all I got. And so when I was, when we came back and we were telling Kevin what we got, and then I didn't know who it was, so I didn't say who it was, but he told us it was Lady Diana. And the validation was he said that in when Lady Diana's presence is felt, roses or the smell of roses usually accompanies that. So I thought that that was good validation that I kind of picked up on what it was. But the interesting part was the part about don't go, like stay away. And thinking back on it, how she, in her, I don't want to say last moments, but in the last few years, it became very obvious that the paparazzi and stuff were like hounding her, and she was always trying to like maybe fight to keep, have not have everybody like rush her and everything like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But that was Kevin's. Oh, actually, I forgot one more thing. So at the end, and this is a very interesting one. At the end, we were sitting quietly together. Or he was doing a healing. That's what it was. He did like a healing to everyone in the room, and then at the end, we locked hands with the person next to us. And so it was everyone in the room holding hands. And what was amazing about it was, at first when he was doing his healing, everything it was very nice, very beautiful. Um, we were sitting there, we were still like in a meditation kind of thing, and I could feel my presence, around me. But then when we locked hands, it felt like my presence became the room, and you could really feel the expansion of everything through everyone. And I thought that was very amazing. And it was just by simply holding hands with the person next to you, so that it made this like link or connection to everyone in the room. And then as soon as that happened, I could feel like my awareness went like way out and become the whole room. That was an amazing experience that Kevin brought to us. Um, the next event was with Jeffrey in the main room, and that was an interesting experience too. So we were all seated, sorry, um, on the floor. Well, most of the people were on the floor. I sat in a chair only because it's like, I'm kind of big, and it just, uh, my back starts to hurt, and just the knees lock up and all that stuff. So he allowed us to sit in chairs if we felt like we needed to. So, but we were all in like a half circle. It was a staggered half circle, and it was to represent the rays of the sun, which I thought was very interesting. It's like another intention um, that was set up, that I thought was very very cool. But yeah, Jeffrey talked. We had an open conversation with Jeffrey about just about things in general, and one of the things that really caught my attention was how he said that, how he was talking about, um, us as in all of us being connected, and how, um, you know we chose this, like this was meant to be, this moment in time that we shared in that space was meant to be. We wrote it all in our contracts, and how um, it was meant to be. And it was very it's very interesting to think about it in the moment, because I don't know anybody there, and the small amount of people that I do know is from YouTube, and I've never met them. But it's very interesting how um there's a knowingness, to there was a knowingness, um when we actually introduced each other or met each other. It was like, I kind of feel like I know you. Some were stronger than others. So like JJ was probably the number one for me. Like when we um I don't want to say when we met, but when we came together, it felt like I've known you forever. And it was very interesting, because and I also had that feeling with Terry. Like I felt like there was like a knowingness with Terry, with Alice, um with one of JJ's friends, um Nicole. I felt like she was a sister from a different lifetime, and a few others that really felt this, like a continuation. Like I said, with JJ, that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like a hello, nice to meet you. It just felt like, oh, nice to see you again. Or there was just that, like we've done this before. And it was kind of funny because Kevin even spoke about it, like at a dinner one night. He's like, "Wow, you guys look like brother and sister. Like you have that energy." And then jokingly, he said, "Yeah, I could see that. I could see her beating somebody up for you, Richie." And it was funny, but yeah, it was just yeah, when Jeffrey said that, like we were all connected, we were all meant to be here at this time. Um, I could feel it, like, oh, like he even referenced it. He said, "Oh, all of us being in spirit and having a discussion, like, oh, um, yeah, I'll see you when I'm 50 at the retreat, or I'll see you when I'm 39, at the retreat, and have a good life until then, or something to that effect." It was it really stuck out. Like we really did write this moment in. How is it that, like, I got there because of a gift, um, for a scholarship to go to the retreat. My family members helped get me there. I worked through all of these emotions just to stay there. And then other people um, were able to come because some other people had to back out at the end. Um, it was really meant to be with the people that were there, and I thought that was really special. It really opened up my eyes to the connectivity and oneness that people talk about, in their lives or their videos, but to see it like firsthand and to understand it in the moment was something like very special. He also did a guided meditation to get us to meet our higher self, and then to meet the source. And yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing like meditation. I have never experienced that with Jeffrey, and he did it so softly. How to like guide us and take us into a space, and then to walk us through the steps. It was very nice. Jeffrey's a very good spirit, like very kind spirit, and he does have a lot of energy, um, but it's very loving. That was our our portion with Jeffrey. Um, the next class that I had was with Debbie, and Debbie. Debbie's class was pretty interesting because it was like I don't want to say she tricked us, but it was uh like mind-blowing experience in a way. I don't want to overstate things, but it was like I felt like I got like she tricked me, but in a good way. So she's in this room, and she's talking to us, and um like one of the things that we had to do was there was a piece of paper on a table, and it had a tarot card on it. And I don't know much about tarot. I don't want to say I stay away from tarot, but I just I don't get into it. Because for myself, I want to focus on um on my connection with spirit without anything. So like cards, pendulums, or anything like that. Um at this time. At this time. I have a feeling probably eventually I'll get into tarot and pendulums and stuff like that when I feel like my connection is with spirit is strong enough. But so when she said take a piece of paper and it has a tarot card on it, I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what this means. I don't know what the card was the 10 of wands. And she said what this card represents is burdens and carrying burdens. And so she was like, feel into the card. What does it feel like to you? And then, so I sat with it and I was like, oh, okay, I understand the meaning of the card and what it represents. And so we partnered up with the person sitting next to us. So I got my sister Nicole from a different lifetime. Um, she said that she wanted us to channel a message um, for our partner, with the inspiration being the Ten of Wands. And so I was like, okay, I could do that. Just get quiet and whatever comes in, comes in. And so it was, she said, whatever your message is, just write it down and then you'll read it to your partner. And so I got the message. It was very basic. It was very simple. So I wrote it down and then I read it, and it was, what was it? Oh shoot, I forgot. I think it was something to the effect of the burdens that you carry forward are your choice. You can leave them where they're at in the past. It was along those lines. It was a very simple message. And then she said, well, actually, the message that you channeled was from your higher self to you. And I was like, oh my gosh. It just, the way that the message hit me when she said that, it was, um, it was pretty hard because the message was so simple. And like, that's how, excuse me, that's how I see things sometimes, is uh, through like things, like I overcomplicate things, and I make things hard for myself by choice. And so I found it to be the perfect message. Like, it's so simple. You choose what you want to carry forward, and you don't have to carry any burdens with you. And so it was very, she got me. It was pretty funny because I thought, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna do this right for Nicole, get her a good message, and then it was a simple one. I was like, but that's what I got. So I wrote it down, I gave it to her, and then it turned out to be for me. And then it was just like, not a bad kick to the chest, but it was a kick to the chest to, like, wow, come on, man. You can do better, and it's not that hard. If you want it to be hard, it will be. If not, then you'll go for it easy. So that was a good one. She got me. And after that she did a 5-minute reading on us, and it was very interesting because I had a reading with Debbie um 6 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, not more than, not it was less than a year ago that I had this reading from her. And what happened, um I don't want to say every single thing, but a lot of the things she spoke about in that reading that I got from her happened in this retreat. And so it was it was really cool to be able to give her validation from her reading, one. But it was also cool because in the moment when I got the reading from Debbie, I kind of didn't think anything was possible, you know, because I have that, you know, because sometimes I choose to have insecurities and feel, you know, um, not worthy, you know, or not, yeah, just not worthy. I just don't feel like it's for somebody else. So she said that, she saw me speaking in front of a large group, and I actually did, because it's in Jeffrey's class. I told my story on how I got here, because that was one of the things. Sorry to go backwards, but Jeffrey asked us, "Why did you come here? How did you get here?" And so I told the story, like, um, I didn't belong here. I was I was brought here because of a blessing from you, Jeffrey, and Debbie, and Annie Bear, and from Kevin. And that's the only reason why that I'm at this retreat, is because of the blessing that I received from you and my family, that helped me, financially get there and emotionally get there. And I wasn't worthy of this gift, but I took it anyway, because I felt like it should go to somebody. There's other people that are more deserving than myself, or maybe need it more than I do. Um, so that was the stage that Debbie was talking about, like, um, and then she also said that, she said she saw me uh, healing people that were in need of help. She said that I see you healing women, a few women, and I think it'll come out in probably the last video, but I think there were people there that maybe I helped them find a little bit of peace, maybe a little bit of comfort through Reiki, um, or just conversation. And then the last thing that I remember that she told me was, she said, "You will even heal me." And I was like, wow, that's not gonna happen. I don't understand how that would happen. And it actually did happen at lunchtime. She had a headache, and she asked me to Reiki her, and I did. And her headache was gone. And so it was like, when she gave me the 5-minute reading in her event, it was validation of the reading that I got from her, 6 months to 6 months ago, let's just say. And it was it was very it was very cool to experience that, to see like everything that was seen actually came true, um, or happened. And I think the most important part was that, not that it came true, but to realize that, um, my desire to help people in need, um, is actually really possible. Like, it's a real thing. It can be. And I think that was the most gratifying thing, was to be able to witness that, and I guess prove it to myself that I can help people, um, in many different ways. And that was like something that Kevin's told me several times, that I have to, well, not I have to, but um, I really need to understand um, the definition of healing. And so, to me, he's asked this question to all of us. If you've ever like attended his healing circles on Sundays, um, where it's just like a group meditation kind of thing. You just sit quietly, right? And then in the last couple of them that he's had on Zoom, he asked the question, "What does healing mean to you?" And so I sat with that, actually. And the message that came in so loud and clear was that healing, for me, this is my definition. Healing is the completion of an experience. And so, like, um, owning that definition means that healing can be anything, right? It's not just Reiki. It's not a hug. It's not just a hug. It's anything and everything. And I remember he tried to explain that to me, and it took a while for me to like fully understand that, because he was saying like, healing can be anything. It can be so simple as a conversation. That can be healing. And he said like, that's what you can provide to people. And I didn't it took me a while to really understand that and like own that. And that happened this weekend at the retreat, or during the retreat. I did experience like a woman who was in grief, and just by having a conversation with her and letting her like express herself, and um talking with her and sharing the experience with her, I think she did find some solace, or you know some healing through it. And you know it's it was it felt good. I hope for her, and but for me also, to be able to provide that, um whatever it was, to somebody that felt like they needed somebody. um but that was oh wait, no, there was a closing ceremony. Sorry, I forgot. So the closing ceremony for the retreat was amazing. We were back into the main room, and we were all sitting. I think we started sitting, and then Ukwala came in, and he did a blessing for us, and then we did like a sacred. I don't want to. It was a sacred ceremony because there was drums, and so some people that were sitting had individual drums, and then he had these two enormous drums uh, in the center, and then so a group of people banged those drums, or did those drums. And it was very nice because they were supposed to represent the heartbeat. So once everybody got in sync, you could like the beating of the drum, it actually felt good. And then there was another group um that were, I don't want to say dancers, but we were doing something that involved us moving our bodies to rhythm. And so thankfully, that was not filmed, because I probably look like a big goofball up there, um, trying to like follow him and stay in beat. It was kind of challenging, I think, for a few of us, me included. I'll just say that. But yeah, it was a very beautiful ceremony, and then it ended with a lot of hugs and goodbyes and tearful moments. And but it was nice to share an experience with so many different people, um, that you kind of felt like you knew from before. Um, I think a lot of people came in not knowing anybody, but left with new friends, or remembrances of old friends that may have been at a different time. You know, it was uh, a really wonderful experience uh, for so many people and for so many different reasons. Um, I hope all of you that watch chance, if you didn't get to go, that you get to go and take in an experience like this. I have nothing to compare this to. This is my first retreat, so was it the best one ever? I don't know, but um, it was very beautiful. There was a lot that happened that I grew from, learned from, and I took away from. Meeting people for the first time in a long time, or just for the first time ever, and sharing that space with them. It really made for uh, a very a very powerful time. I I must say that I am changed by this um, retreat. Uh, I don't want to say that I came home and I'm a different person, but I am a different person in some ways. Um, and I think the greatest thing that I probably got out of this was seeing my possibility and making connection with myself. I think that was the greatest connection that was made um, during this retreat was seeing my own potential, what could be, and seeing myself. You know, walking, um, walking in a different light because I made choices that changed my light. I didn't. I didn't go to my old safe space, which was in the shadows. I chose to walk into the light and was greeted by so many people in the light and seeing the possibilities of what I can experience if I chose to stay there versus the opportunities or the that I would miss if I stayed in the shadows was the biggest difference. And then just to really see myself, feel myself, and be comfortable with that self, I think was the greatest thing that I took away from the retreat itself. And I hope that if you can't make it to the retreat, I hope all of you can find that um, for yourself if you need to. You know, a lot of us have different paths and different things. But if you're in need, if you have these kinds of issues that I have experienced, and I say have because I don't want to say like, oh, I'm healed and I'm perfect and that's never going to happen again. I'm sure it's going to happen again, but I do understand that if I choose light, a lot of stuff can happen. If I choose the shadows, then maybe nothing happens, and I'll stay in the darkness. And I I do understand now that I don't need to, and it's as simple as acknowledging the emotions. Well, I'll just say for myself that this was my process was I felt anxiety. I acknowledged the anxiety, and then I said to myself, we need to move forward though, and it's okay, we can do this together. So me talking to myself, let's just take one step forward. But the first step was acknowledging it and not hiding from it. Okay, I do feel uncomfortable, but it's okay. And the space that the retreat created allowed me to to trust enough, I guess, into myself, that it's okay to step forward, and process and and push through that fear, the false evidence that appears real. Um, well, I think I'll stop here. This was just my experience from the retreat. The next video will be about the Reiki, and then I'll talk about my experiences outside of the events and maybe a little bit more insight of other things that I experienced emotionally or you know with others. But thank you all for listening. This is my longest video ever. I hope I hope you were able to kind of ride along and see through my eyes um, what I experienced, and hopefully it was just as good for you as it was for me. Thank you so much for watching and sharing your time with me. Until the next one.